Hey ladies, today I want to take a trip to Texas. A few weeks ago I flew out there to speak at a summer camp near Waco, and so today I want to take you with me. Consider this a behind the scenes look at what life is really like for me when I'm on a speaking trip.
Father in heaven, we thank you so much that Tiffany can go to this event and be there and do your work with you, and we're just really excited for her. Sniggles. A great trip. Thanks.
It's kind of funny. I love traveling, but I hate flying on planes. I hate that feeling like I have no control over whether or not the plane stays in the air. Sometimes I feel like my prayers are the only thing holding it up. God has definitely been teaching me how to trust Him with those areas of life that I can't control. I still get that twinge of, oh my word, is a stranger gonna be the last face I will ever see? But it's gotten a lot better. Now I can actually take a break from praying the plane along and take a nap. It's all about learning how to rest in God's goodness. You'll notice that's a big theme in this video because it's become the big theme of my life lately. So after the plane safely landed in Dallas and I picked up my rental car, I stopped for dinner. Anytime I'm in Texas, I have to get Mexican food because it's just so amazing down there. But I've always wondered what people are thinking when I walk in and ask for a table for one. Because back when I was a waitress, I often wondered what it was like to eat alone in a restaurant. Now that I'm the one doing it, I honestly love it. In some ways, I'm really an introvert at heart. I love being surrounded by strangers because then I'm not alone, but I also don't have to talk to anyone. Especially on speaking trips, I soak up those moments because they give me the energy I'll need while talking and praying with people.
Well, thankfully, after a very short run, I am very, very tired, which means I should be able to sleep tonight. But I'm going to Starbucks first because I get super depressed when I'm alone in hotel rooms. I really feel like super depressed when I am, and I don't like it at all. So I always have to go out and do something at night because otherwise I just feel super sad. So thankfully there's a Starbucks right around the corner. So I'm here for a while till bedtime.
Thankfully, I always have lots of work to do on these trips. That evening, I went over my notes for the next day and edited some YouTube videos, but I also have lots of freelance writing work to do. Because I used to speak full-time, but now that I travel less and do more of my ministry through YouTube, I've taken up several freelance writing positions to supplement my income. I love it, and it keeps me busy when I'm traveling.
Here we go.
People often ask if I get nervous before speaking. The answer is not usually. I love the energy of being on a stage in front of tons of people. Honestly, the bigger the crowd, the better I feel.
Hi, my name's Tiffany Dawn, and I'm here to speak in the morning session for Camp Collide.
But that comfort on stage is only true as long as I'm sharing a message that I am super comfortable with. And at this summer camp, I was sharing brand new messages. So even though I had spent hours and hours practicing, I was still really nervous. The verse God always reminds me of in times like this is, "Don't be afraid of their faces," which is from Jeremiah 1:8. I've learned that you can't always know what God is doing inside someone. Their face doesn't always show that. And when you're a speaker who looks at people's faces for clues as to how they're responding, it can be intimidating to see someone who doesn't seem engaged. But I've had those very same people come up to me after events and share how life-changing the message was. And I had no idea because their face told another story. So that's what God kept reminding me of as I got up to speak that day. Don't be afraid of their faces. I have no idea how God is working behind the scenes, but I can just rest knowing that He is at work.
That was such a fun morning. I just love this, girls. I got to stay and talk and take pictures with a bunch of them for an hour afterwards, and it was really fun. I liked it a lot. And now I'm gonna go explore Magnolia Farms because it's only half an hour away from here, so we're going.
After the high energy experience of speaking and talking with people, I get very tired and very, very hungry. So I took a break and went to explore Magnolia Farms. Honestly, I've only ever seen one episode of Fixer Upper, but I loved Joanna's book, which is why I had to visit. I was blown away by how community-oriented Magnolia is, with spots for kids to play and families to picnic and music blasting, and I definitely took advantage of the food trucks to get a gluten-free crepe for lunch, which was delicious. Then I made my way to a nearby coffee shop to get some work done. Coffee shops are my saving grace on these trips. I cannot stand being alone in my hotel room, but I always have work to do. So I make my way to coffee shop after coffee shop all day long, just so I can be around people without having to talk to anyone, of course.
Got a couple hours of work done on my Europe vlog. This is very exciting. Now I'm gonna go explore more and then work more.
I've been learning how good it is to take breaks and enjoy life. When I traveled on super long speaking tours, I had a really hard time doing this. I wanted to be productive all the time, but that was exhausting. So God started challenging me to take time to rest. At first I was like, God, if I'm taking time to rest, how am I possibly going to get everything done? And I felt like he reminded me, Tiffany, do you really think you're the one doing all of this? If you can't rest, it's because you don't trust me. And it's amazing the opportunities that open up when we take the time to rest. For example, this day I had the opportunity to stop and have a conversation and pray with a homeless man by the river. And if I had been in a rush, I never would have stopped. And it was such a cool gift from God. I'm starting to think that rest may be a spiritual discipline that I often forget.
Trying this out because it had 97 5-star reviews on Yelp, so we'll see how it is. So we've got here some brisket and broccoli slaw, pinto beans, and freshly made homemade sweet tea. I have spent so much time on the Europe vlogs the past couple of days. It's been amazing. I've gotten so much done. So it's like 10:30 and I just got back from Starbucks because I'm just like trying not to be here as much as I can. It makes it hard to sleep. I can't wait to see my husband again. That's the hardest part of traveling. I like have a great time during the day, but at night I get so lonely. So at least I've got my work to do.
I spent that evening going over my presentation for the next day. This was the first time I'd ever spoken to just guys, so I was this weird mixture of nervous and super excited. The session was about how girls are wired and practical ways that guys could love the girls in their lives.
Waiting for my hubs to call.
By the time I was driving in the next morning, I was getting more excited than nervous. I had this really cool anticipation of what God would do.
I'm speaking in chapel this morning.
And I was totally blown away by God. The session with the guys went so well. They were really engaged, and so many guys afterwards came up to shake my hand and say how much it spoke to them. One said, I've realized I need to make some changes in the way I treat girls. Those moments are such a high to see right then and there how God worked, because you don't always get that feedback right in the moment. So when you do, it's really special.
Just got to hang out for a couple more hours and just chat with girls and guys who came in to talk, and it was really fun. I loved it. I love getting to meet people and talk to people. So also, guys, I just found out that John Christ was here at this camp the day before I got here, and I'm so bummed I missed him because I love his videos. But thankfully he's also going to be at Kingdom Bound, and I'll be there too in July, so I'm going to stalk him down and find him.
I found a cute little place to do lunch, and when I requested pickles on the side of my salad, the waitress asked me if I was pregnant, which I was not. I just like pickles. And then I went back to the hotel room. When I go on these speaking trips, as soon as the final session is over, the tiredness hits me like a tidal wave, and all I want to do is eat, shower, and collapse, in that order. It's like you've put in all this time and nervous energy for weeks leading up to the event, and once it's over, the pressure is gone and you realize how utterly exhausted you are. So I definitely spent the next 7 hours binge watching Designated Survivor until I fell asleep. I just could not get out of bed. The next morning I packed up, drove the hour and a half back to Dallas, and flew home. I couldn't wait to see James again. I also couldn't wait to share with my prayer team the stories of how God had worked in people's hearts. Bringing home those stories is one of the best parts of speaking. But what I've learned over the past few years is that whether I'm traveling or I'm at home, God will still use me. We don't have to be in full-time Christian ministry to have those stories of God working through our lives. Every part of our life can be ministry to God if we'll let it be. As long as we're willing, He'll use us right where we are, and that is beautiful.